Hello and welcome to another episode of the Bleeding Metal podcast. My name is Pia, my pronouns are she, her, and you might hear baby noise in the background because my baby is sleeping on my lap right now. That's the easiest way for me to do the podcast recording. And today I am here with my lovely co-host, with Suzanna. Hello.
Hello, hi, I'm Suzanna. My pronouns are she, her. I'm happy to be here and welcome back, Pia.
Yes, that's our first episode together.
Yes. Woohoo.
And I think it's time for a little update about what was happening in my life the last couple of months. First of all, I'm good and my family is good. My child was born late January. It was a little later than we expected, and the late pregnancy was really hard. I couldn't wait for the baby to arrive because you're getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and your baby belly is everywhere. You can't really see the ground in front of you and stuff like that. That gets really annoying, and also every activity seems to be exhausting somehow. So yes, now the baby is here and the things are going back to a new normal. But I have to say that everything really felt natural right in the beginning with the new baby. That was different with the first one, of course, because we didn't know life with a baby. And now we had that before. And I'm really happy how it turned out that you're now a part of the Bleeding Metal podcast, and also Martha. I, of course, have been listening to the episodes before, and I was like, I don't really need to come back.
Oh no, the more the merrier. Thank you. I'm so happy to be part of the team, and I'm really happy how the previous episodes turned out. I was very happy to record the episode about Bimbocore. It was a really nice discussion. We could have go on for hours and hours and hours because it really has so much, we have so much to talk about. This is such an important topic, and it connects with so many things that the podcast discussed in previous episodes. I was also very happy about the Blind Channel episode because we got to talk about young men talking about mental health, and I think that's very important. And I'm very much looking forward for your opinion, Pia, about Bimbocore and the things that we discussed in previous episodes. I'm really happy that we have the opportunity to catch up with you on those things.
Yeah, so today's episode will be a bit random. We will have our highlights of the beginning of the year of the first 3 months later. And now, we're just going to chat about whatever comes to our mind. Bimbocore, my first thought was, I know this from the lyrics of Barbie Girl from Aqua. There she sings, I'm a blonde bimbo girl. And that was the first thing that popped up in my mind. When I listened to your podcast, to your episode, I thought, well, I have kind of the same feelings because I don't like the color pink as well, especially not in clothes. And the funny thing is, now I have a daughter, and of course, you're getting so many pink stuff as presents and everything. And luckily, my husband isn't like that he says, oh, we need to buy all the clothes and all the stuff anew. We can just use the stuff that we had for our son. So she's basically wearing his clothes plus the pink stuff that we got from others. But that really kind of challenged me. I also did not buy quote unquote boys' clothes for my son because I thought he can wear whatever he wants, and I don't agree with the industry that they separate already children's clothes in male and female. And another problem that I have with that is that the quote unquote boys' clothes are so dark. They have black and green and dark blue, and sometimes you can get light blue, but yeah, they're really dark. And I think you should be able to see children all the time, like also in the traffic and stuff like that.
Right, exactly. But funny you should say that. Yeah, mention the industry because we were talking on the podcast about the episode about Bimbocore. We were almost kind of blaming ourselves, like, oh, we chose to be kind of more tomboyish because we are not super girly. That's just not our thing. And maybe the fact that we were choosing to be more like one of the guys, quote unquote, it reveals even in ourselves kind of a sexist perception of what being super girly and pinky and feminine. Maybe we were ourselves seeing the fact that some girls choose to be super feminine as something that is kind of less than. And I don't know. I don't think maybe it's only ourselves to blame. It's really the industry, like you're saying. Even it starts really young. That even small kids like your kids, if you're going to shop for them, you're already seeing this very clear divide between what is a boy thing and a girl thing. And interesting that you said that even for boys, it's very restrictive. Even for the little box for boys, it's also tiny. That, yeah, I feel very strongly about girls because it's like
It has to be
be pink. And it's crazy that if you go to like stores, it's like one aisle for boys, one aisle for girls. It's really separated. It's one side one thing, one side another thing. So it's just crazy that even as little babies we are divided, right? Like the industry itself makes us like, you're this thing and you're this thing.
And that also leads to when you live these rules, like you only buy boys' clothes for boys and stuff like that, then the children also get used to that. When the boys then see something pink, they are like, oh, okay, that's not for me. Or if the girls see something that hasn't pink in it, they are like, okay, that's for boys, that's not my toy or whatever. And that leads to so many things later. So it's very interesting to think about that. And especially the color pink challenged me because even back then when I was shopping clothes for my boy, I couldn't buy pink stuff.
Right.
What really helped me was that I asked myself, would I buy this for my girl? And I was like, no, I wouldn't. So maybe it's a mix of what you just said, that we have this problem that we see it as girlish, but also I don't like the color in general, maybe. Yeah, maybe if things wouldn't be like they are, if everything would be free for everyone, maybe I would also be like, no, it's pink. I don't like it because it's pink.
Yeah, I feel that way too, that it's part of my personality that I don't know if I would, that I think I would choose not to wear pink as well if I was free to choose. But I guess it's just one of those things that we will never know because it starts so young. During the Bimbocore episode, we talked about one quote from Sin Queen. She was talking about how it's not really a choice because she felt like if she was too girly as a kid, as a teenager, she would not be respected intellectually, but she would be thought of as attractive to men. So it was really a choice, but not really a choice between being interesting for men because of the way you look or being interesting for men because you're smart, because you happen to have a brain. And in order to be respected for your brain, you had to dress in a more masculine way. Did you feel that way growing up, or was it kind of a conscious decision? Because I think for me, it was a little bit a conscious thing. Like I was tomboyish, but I was like, yeah, but I want to be respected for my brain.
My parents raised me very gender neutral. And so for me, I really started thinking about this pretty late. I just did the stuff that I wanted to do and didn't think about, will I be more attractive for men when I do this? Or at least I didn't do this consciously. So I would say it was never important for me to be liked by by men or even by people sometimes, or not. I was like, if you don't like me, then it's fine. There are enough other people who will like me. So that was not a question for me. And so my interests back then were more like what the boys in my surroundings were interested in, like soccer or metal music, or also the stuff that I watched on TV as a little kid. Most of the shows were for boys, what I didn't know back then. I just grew into being quote unquote one of the boys, I think.
Yeah, I think it was the same for me because I have three brothers. One of my brothers, we are very close in age. He's just 1.5 years younger than me. So it was always like the two of us playing together. So I think I was like one of the boys as well. I guess if I had a conscious decision, it would be more like, yeah, I choose to be one of the boys. And I think I did that consciously when I was older, maybe like 15 and older. But as a kid, yeah, I used to say that I was a boy till I was 13 but I guess the way you put it is more interesting, that it was like a non-binary thing. Like I was just a kid, and I feel like, my brother was just a kid as well. And I think we are one of the lucky ones, I guess, that didn't grow up with such strong stereotypes. But I aspire to be like you one day, Pia, that doesn't care too much about what other people think about you. I love that. I was like, oh my God, she's in a whole new level. I want that.
Thanks to my mom, I think. But when I was listening to the episode, I also thought that I think we need this Bimbocore. That's also what you said, that we need this super feminine women on stage that show that it's possible to be both feminine and a badass metal musician. And then I also thought, why would you even question that? So that's a pity that you have to, but it's kind of the same, like on some festivals you have campgrounds, especially for women. And that's also, it's a pity that you need it, but you need it. And I guess it's the same with Bimbocore, that you just need this kind of representation. What also butcher babies do since many, many years. And here in Germany, we have gangster rappers who are female and who just do it the other way around. For example, Lady Betray does this since, I don't know, 15 years or something, that she just has the lyrics like many male rappers have the lyrics, but the other way around.
I think it's something that Scene Queen herself had said in interviews, that she's accused of being too vulgar. Because I think that's the thing with Bimbocore as well, that when I started reading about it, I was very happy that being feminine on stage was a thing, and we have to discuss that. And maybe what she does is doing that, just taking that and doing that in a very exaggerated way, because it's a banner, it's a cause, it's something that she's fighting for. So she has to do it in a very, very aggressive way. So for me, one issue that I had, at least at first, was that it was not like realistic feminine. It was going too much in the way of being too vulgar, maybe too sexy, in a way that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. But she talked about this. It's kind of like on purpose as well, that she's accused of being vulgar. And what she says is kind of like what you said about female gangster rapper. She was like, yeah, but men do that all the time. And she even mentioned rappers, and it's not too much of an issue. What she's doing is, yes, if you think I'm being too vulgar, then sure, go ahead. I'm doing this on purpose. And again, I'm doing this to shine a spotlight on that. Even the hypocrisy of like, when I do it, then I'm vulgar. And when rappers do it, even mentioning women, because I don't think they dress themselves in a sexy, vulgar way. They actually get women to do that on their music videos. And then it's fine and it's cool and it's so awesome. But then when a woman does it herself, it's like, too vulgar. So I like that she pointed the finger to that hypocrisy, and it's very true.
And it's here since many, many years. Here in Germany, we have a singer-songwriter. She's called Ina Deta, and she had a song, Neue Männer, which means new men. It's not like very strict lyrics in it. She was just saying, our country needs new men. And then she is describing how she's looking for a man. And this song was on the blacklist of some radio stations even.
Why?
And that's just hilarious, because if you look at the German Schlager lyrics, they are so vulgar compared to that. But that's quote unquote against women and not against men, like they think it was in her song.
Yeah. It's always a problem when you same thing just the other way around. Then it's a big problem, right?
Mm-hmm. And that's how you see if something is sexist or not.
Yeah.
Martha, first of all, welcome. You just jumped into the episode.
Yes, hi.
Okay, then let's maybe have a small cut and talk about a game that hopefully will change how we see women in history. And that's called the Trailblaze Game. I was reading the press kit. It's a strategy and quiz game for 2 to 4 players, and it's a board game by the Austrian game designer Judith Strieder. They started a crowdfunding campaign on March 20th, and the cheapest perk is, I think, €1, so you can enter at a very low price level. And it has the subtitle Women Beyond Expectations. So in this game, we learn about women who achieved success in man's world. You can learn more about that at trailblaze-game.com. And that's also something I was mentioning that when we just talked a bit about Bimbocore, I like that this game exists. But on the other hand, I think, why do you even have to mention that women can do stuff that men can do? It is also another thing that says women need to prove themselves compared to men. And I just think, well, that's not the case. It's very good to have a game about awesome women, but you could also choose women in fields that are typical for them and say, well, they wrote very good books about childcare and stuff like that, for example. What were your first thought when you read about the Trailblaze game?
I was going to say something different than what you said, but what you said makes a lot of sense. That yes, it's still weird that we have to prove ourselves, and it's still that this whole conversation about even like proving ourselves to the world, like we're still telling the world that, yeah, that thing that men are doing and they are doing great for many, many years, women can do that too. And we're still telling people that, although this has been going on for ages now. And even in science and literature, a lot of women that we are quote unquote finding out about today, they have been doing this for centuries. So this whole proving yourself to the world is sometimes even more about discovering women that have been doing this all along. But yeah, but what you said is interesting, that also we still think more highly of accomplishments that are associated with men. So women astronaut, because being an astronaut is a man's thing. Women scientist, because being a scientist is still a man's thing. Women athlete, because Olympic champions are men. And then when women do it, it's wow, look at them doing amazing things in men's field, which is not true, but we still see things that way. So yes, talking about things that are considered women things like childcare, for example, and putting that on a higher level. Maybe one day we could be like men that do childcare as well. So yeah, two different ways of seeing the same thing that are interesting. But yeah, it's kind of sad that we are still trying to fight for our spaces in those different areas, for sure.
Yeah, for me, it was a little different. So I have this tendency, so I also follow like many creators on Instagram and TikTok who like mention like women and inventors and scientists and whatever. So every time I hear something I did, I'm like, oh my God, a woman did that? And then I'm like, this is so cool. And then I'm like really happy. Like, I don't know, even like I just came back from my holiday, and when I was flying there, the captain was a woman. And I've never been flying with a female captain. And like I heard her words like, "Hallo, Ihre Kapitänin," and I was like, "Oh my God, I'm so happy."
Can I have an autograph?
Yeah, I was like, can I take a selfie with you? And then I didn't want to be weird. But yeah, so to me it's really, yeah, like this whole space, even like in the past, opens up for me, and knowing that wow, women did so many cool things. And when I was in school, I had this time where I was getting bad at math. And then my mom told me that my aunt was a math professor in Ethiopia
Mhm.
at the University of Addis Ababa. And then I was like, huh, if my aunt is a math professor, maybe I can be good at math. And I like instantly got better at math. And well, I studied something with engineering, so I'm not very bad at math anymore. So yeah, for me, this has a huge influence on me. And so I thought it's a cool way. So maybe it's like not the perfect scenario. Like it would be nicer to just everyone have this like normal sense that yeah, of course women do all these things. Women invented all these great things. But yeah, like for the moment I really enjoy this notion, and maybe it's like motivating other women just like, yeah, it's normal. So just go for it. Other women did it, you can do it too. So I really like that.
Yeah, it's sad because we talk about women and their accomplishment, and we feel like this should be so normalized, and maybe for us it is, or maybe it's our bubble. But yeah, when we look at like data and even scientific experiments like the blind audition thing, it's not a reality yet. Maybe it's so true in our hearts, and maybe we are lucky enough that we are surrounded by people that feel the same way. But it's still not. It's still kind of a space that we're still conquering. I want to mention that I did take one flight one time, like 10 years ago, and it was a woman flying the plane. And it was the one and only time for me as well. And I remember it till this day. It was like really well, like 10 years ago, a long time ago. And her name was Mariana. I remember her name. I remember the company. Remember where I was going. I saw her briefly. I remember like what she looked like a little bit. So yeah, it's a thing. It is a thing. It's not just like, a woman flying a plane, whatever happens every other time because it should be 50-50, but it's absolutely not. And
But also, funnily, I was very reassured also, because I had this like, yeah, like this feminist viewpoint that if this woman made it there, she must be exceptionally good to not be overlooked, or just like, so that she did it. So I felt very safe and very comfortable the whole flight.
but it's kind of sad. But yeah, she must be the best pilot in the world because she's there. She was hired. She must have worked 10 times as hard as everyone else.
So still a long way to go. I also like how the game looks. It has this portraits in comic style and it's very minimalistic. So if you want to check it out, it's trailblaze-game.com. And now I would like to know what music you've been listening to for the past 3 months, for the beginning of the year.
I have this huge problem right now. I was very upset with the whole Spotify situation when they started to like planning on stopping on paying artists which have less than 1,000 streams per year per song or something. I was like, okay, that's enough. And then Spotify was increasing their prices. I was like, I'm out. And so then we had this episode about the Rock app. I was like, okay, I'm in, I'm doing this. So I don't have Spotify Premium anymore, and the Rock app did not launch yet. So I don't know, like I can't listen to Spotify with this advertisement. Like I tried for some time and I heard really funny advertisements, and also I discovered that like my health insurance company have a really cool service now because they had an ad on Spotify. But yeah, so I listened, of course, to the new single of Invoke. It's called Shards. That was a
Yes.
real banger, and I love the music video, and I love everything Yoko does anyways. So that was the one song I listened to, but yeah. Except for that, I did not check out. I'm not listening to music anymore.
You've been listening to Venues, right?
Yeah, I was checking their new album, Transience. It was released last week. I really enjoyed it. I didn't know about them. I don't think I was following them before, so it was like my new discovery for the new year. I really like their album. I have a problem with listening to new music because I listen to a lot of new music. I make it a habit of checking new albums and new releases. It's kind of like my Friday ritual after work. It's like, oh, okay, let's check what's new. But I have a problem that I get obsessed with things. So I spend like 6 months listening to the same album over and over and over again. And then I listen to new things only briefly, and then I have to go back to, yay, what was that band they released 6 months ago? Because I like getting obsessed with things. So right now I'm still listening to an album that was released last year by More Subita. It's a death metal band from Finland, not very big that I know of. I think this is their album that is going to be their breakout album. It's called Orange of Fire. It's just awesome. It's a lot of fun. It's just plain death metal, no frills, but a lot of fun. But it was released last year, and I'm still listening to it. New releases that I enjoyed was Venues. I'm listening to Mokoma a lot. They were on my radar because they are on the same label of other bands that I like. And I saw a little bit of their show on Tuska last year. I think it's more like thrash and rock, like mixed and kind of punk a little bit. So it was just a lot of fun. I will not be able to pronounce the name of the album because it's in Finnish. I will not even try, but I Googled and it means storm in Finnish. So the storm in Finnish. And I also enjoyed Blind Channel's new album. I was listening to the album when we were preparing for the interview with them. Exit Emotions, the name of the album, was released, I think, in last month. Yeah. And it's pretty cool. I was not listening to Blind Channel a lot, but it was fun. It's they call themselves like violent pop. So I don't think it's necessarily metal, but it's rock and pop with some metal influences. And I really like the album. I'm obsessed with the song Phobia. It's so cool to just sing and wash the dishes listening to that song, trying to sing along. I think those are the things that I'm listening to lately.
For me, the year started pretty well, music-wise, because one band that I was listening to a lot, even though they only had one EP out at that time, they started releasing new music, and they are called Torments. They now have their second EP, Dream Again, out, and I especially like the clean vocals, so I don't pay much attention to clean vocals, but in this band I really, really like them. And I think the whole band members, or all of the band members, changed, but not the clean singer. He was the bass player before, and now he does the harsh vocals and the clean vocals, and he found other people to continue the band with him, and I'm very, very happy about that. The other album that I was listening to a lot is the new Defocus album. We've been talking about the band on this podcast. They have more electronic elements in it and also more clean vocals, which I like a lot because the vocalist is not a tenor. He has a very nice baritone. So his voice is lower than from many, many other metalcore bands, and I really enjoyed that. And there is another band just popping up everywhere in Germany that's called Everlies, and they are also going in the direction of what Defocus do. They're maybe a little bit more technical, more genty, and they also played a show together just lately for the release of the Everlies debut album Freaks, and the Defocus album is called There Is a Place for Me on Earth. Now I'm on a kind of clean vocal and electronic wave these days, but I also like the album that a German I don't know, maybe you can call him rap artist. I didn't follow the stuff he did before so much. He's called Alligator, and he said that he quit or he ended his career as a musician, and he flew to the moon. And then he released a new metal album where you can see the Earth on the cover and his middle finger. So he's sending us this album from the moon, and he does this metal songs right now. And I really like the album because I like the way he writes his lyrics. You sometimes think this is so dumb, but that's what makes it funny. And my highlight, maybe this is a little cheating right now because the song has been released yesterday. We're recording this on April 3rd. Cemetery Skyline is a supergroup, and the singer is Michael Stanner. He is the vocalist of Dark Tranquility and The Halo Effect. And I really, 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 really like his clean vocals. He also has a lower voice. And in Cemetery Skyline, he does no screaming, I think. They released one song that's called Violent Storm, and that's clean vocals only.
Okay, so now I have many recommendations for when I am back in the music hearing community.
And I'm also waiting for Rock App to launch. They said in April it should happen finally. We will see. We will keep you updated on that, and also on the stuff that we enjoy listening to these days, and of course in the future. So I think we're done. Thank you out there for listening. Thank you, Martha and Suzanna, for joining me in this episode, for discussing Bimbocore a bit again, and also the Trailblaze game and the music that came out recently. See you again soon. Bye bye.